back to wherever it is they live. So if you guys were out here in South Florida in the late 1990s, early 2000s, you would know that if you need a car, truck, or van, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. They sell cars now? Maroney, there we go. That's a local right there. That was the commercial that they used to play nearly every other commercial back in those days. Mike Maroney was a gentleman who owned a chain of car dealerships. He ended up selling all those dealerships to a company called AutoNation. We'll talk about them a little bit more further along our trip. And then he bought himself this place coming up here on the right. Place with the striped awnings there on the right side. The house belongs to Mike Maroney, Maroney Automotive. Right across the canal from Mike Maroney's place, they're going to have a house with a gazebo out back there on the right side. The house used to belong to the Bush family, not the political Bushes, but these guys are the Bushes of Anheuser-Busch, Busch Beer. So because of that, we call those lights out on the dock Bud Lights. Bar's open, guys, I'm telling you. On that note, guys, we have been out here for 83 years. We've made a lot of friends in the river. In that time, we've made a lot of friends here on the river. We've been coming up here the same time every night for all those years. So they know exactly when we're coming through, and because of that, from time to time, they will come out and wave to the Jungle Queen. So if you see somebody out there in their backyard giving you a big wave back to them. They will definitely appreciate that. Also, sometimes these retired millionaires out here, you know, this is going to be some of the only exercise that those guys get. So you got to keep them moving, right? Keep the heart rate up, keep them healthy. Coming up here on our left side, going to have a house with a fenced-in basketball court there. Glass all around the outdoor living area. That was part of the largest residential real estate deal ever done in Broward County history. The house right there is $26.5 million. The house that's set on the far side of the property that the house is blocking right now sold for $14.5 million. One guy bought both of them combined $41 million. The craziest part about that is he didn't even like the house. When he bought that house, it was yellow. There were orange barrel tiles on the roof. There were archways in between the columns. Backyard looked nothing like it does right now. So this guy spent $26.5 million on a house that he considered a 2-year project. Now, I wish I could tell you guys who owned it, but his attorneys contacted every tour company around here and said, do not tell anybody who owns my house. So, sorry about that, guys. It was Michael Jordan. Yeah, we'll go with that. We got a channel marker here on the left side. It elects a split on the waterway here. Taking it on the right side is going to mark the start of the start of New River. That'll take us here towards downtown Fort Lauderdale and then eventually west to our private island. If you would have went on the left side there, that'd be the Intracoastal Waterway, longest inland navigable waterway in the entire world. You can start on the Intercoastal Waterway in New Jersey, take it all the way down the east coast of the United States, under the tip of Florida, up the west coast of Florida along the Gulf Coast, as far as Brownsville, Texas. So, if we would have taken a left there, about 2 hours from now, it'd be in Bayside Marketplace, Miami. 3 hours after that, make it down to Party Town, Key West, Margaritaville. Take a quick left there, and it's 5 hours to Cuba. Now, about 5 minutes after we touch the sand there, we'd all be in jail. So, fortunately, Captain Chris up there is going to take us up the New River instead. A little bit of a less eventful night. Got these other channel markers here on our left side. They mark the channel, which is the side we're on right now. It's important if you guys are driving a boat in Fort Lauderdale to know what these channel markers are telling you. This side of those markers, 15 feet of water. At low tide, on the other side of the markers, 15 inches of water. You guys can see over there right now how shallow it is. That's our local sandbar out there.
Well, this 3 feet? It said 15 inches.
The house over here on the right. Oh, look, there's an alligator on the rocks over there sunning himself. Check it out. Stone alligator. Stone alligator. He hasn't moved in a while. The guy who owns that house, he likes to put alligators on his seawall, but he also puts them on t-shirts. Rene Lacoste. Eyes on Lacoste Sportswear on the right side right there. Got another property coming up on the right here. No house there anymore. There was one up until about 3 years ago. A couple people lived in that house back in the day. One of them was Lee Majors, $6 million man. The other one was his wife, Farrah Fawcett. Now, at some point there, things got a little bit rocky. They ended up splitting up. Lee became the $3 million man. And he tried to go on living in that house without Farrah, but he just couldn't do it. So he decided the best thing to do would be to sell the house. And he couldn't sell it, wouldn't sell. Finally, he called his realtor up and said, "Hey, buddy, what's going on? Why can't you sell my house?" He said, well, Lee, as it turns out, nobody wants to live in a house with major faucet problems. Me too. Got this tan-colored home here coming up on the left, blue boat tied up out back. That belongs to the largest drug dealer anywhere around here. The Walgreens family. Walgreens drugstores on the left side right there.
Wow.
Coming up on our right here, we got two pieces of property there with a stone rock seawall. Belongs to a guy by the name of John Herman. He bought both of those properties for a combined $17 million in the year 2000. John Herman is a senator from Wisconsin, but he also founded Kohl's department stores. So, for all you guys on the boat who like to use the, what is it, the Kohl's cash, right? Look what he bought with your cash right over there on the right. Next house here on the right side is going to mark the start of what we affectionately call here in the New River Wayne's World. Our local billionaire, Wayne Huizenga, passed away here about 3 months ago, but when he was alive, he owned a lot of the properties in this area. House on the right with the putting green, he had his daughter Pamela living in that house for a while. Next house there, also on the right side with the three gentlemen on the sign there, he had his sister Bonnie living in that place for a while. His sister lent him $5,000 a long time ago. He took that $5,000, bought a single dump truck with it. Turned that dump truck into his first Fortune 500 company, Waste Management. House on the right there with the diamond-shaped tiles in the dock also used to belong to Wayne. He had his nephew Steven living in that place. His nephew convinced him to buy a few freestanding video rental stores in Texas. Wayne turned that into his second Fortune 500 company, Blockbuster Video. I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, big deal, right? Blockbuster, they're not really doing so good these days. That never affected Wayne. Wayne sold Blockbuster to Viacom for $8.5 billion. Less than 6 months later, Netflix came out. Also coming up on our right side here, they're finishing up construction on this new home they're building. At least I think it's a home. It's just as likely that it could be like an airline terminal or something like that. I'm not really too sure what that is. But the house that used to sit there was the one that Wayne himself lived in. He lived in that house until 2005 when Hurricane Wilma came through, did a lot of damage to that property. At that point in time, he had to move a little bit further up the river. But while he was living at that house, he was working at his third Fortune 500 company, AutoNation. They bought all of Maruni's dealerships back there, as well as several hundred others across the country. They are now the largest conglomerate of car dealerships in the entire country. So a little bit, I'm going to show you guys where Wayne moved after his house was destroyed by the hurricane. But first, I'll show you guys this place coming up here on the left. Big for sale sign out back there. The house sits on 2 acres of property. If you guys want, I'll let Captain Chris get a little bit closer. You guys can write that phone number down. Now, call up Dale there, ask him how much for that house. He's going to tell you $3.2 million. Now, that $3.2 million is going to be just good enough to cover the 10% down payment. They've been asking $32 million for that. But they've been asking $32 million for that house for about 5 years, so they might be able to work with you a little bit. So I mentioned to you guys that Wayne Huizenga moved a little further up the river. He actually bought this place over here on the left. 5 single-family homes, all connected by breezeways and walkways right there on the left side. Starts with that green-colored home with the wood doors, or that's the lawnmower's place there. And as I mentioned, guys, stretches all the way around the corner. Now, in addition to being the only person in history to take 3 companies from startup to Fortune 500 status, he was also a major player in the professional sport team market as well. That's why he's got that Dolphin statue in the backyard there. He was at one time the sole owner of the Miami Dolphins football team. He's also the founding owner of both the Florida Marlins baseball team and the Florida Panthers hockey team. Now, when Wayne was alive, he was you'd always see him sitting out here on his dock over on the left side around this time of night. Always very friendly. He'd wave at the Jungle Queen no matter how many times we went by. Wayne was also very philanthropic as well. He gave a lot of money to various causes here in South Florida. He gave Nova Southeastern University money so they could build a business school. He gave the Broward Center for the Performing Arts money so they could expand. And he gave the city land so they could build parks and things like that. Very community-oriented guy. He'll be greatly missed here in the city of Fort Lauderdale. So I got one more Huizenga property I can tell you guys about. It's going to be coming up here on our left side as we make this next turn around Tarpon Bend here. Now Wayne hired the architects in the sets of the Harry Potter movies to build this house to look like something out of Harry Potter right up here on the left. Check it out. It did a pretty good job over there, right? So after it was built, he ended up giving it to his niece as a wedding present. Those of you guys who are married, how many of you guys got a $20 million wedding present? You in the back, sir? Good for you. That's not what everybody gets. Most people get a lender and a mother-in-law, and that's about it. So, since Wayne was so good to his family members when he was alive, everybody would always ask, is he adopted, right? And the answer to that is no. You know, I tried. I would have made a great son. You know, for one of those houses back there, I might have even made a great daughter. I don't know. It's very possible. Now, coming up here on our right side, we're going to have the overflow parking lot for the All Saints Episcopal Church. They're just finishing up a refurbishment project here on their seawall. That's the thing about buying properties here on the river. If your seawall starts to deteriorate, you are responsible for all of the repairs. And generally that will cost about $1,000 per foot. So this place over here has at least 1,000 feet of dock space. And, so they're paying about $1 million to redo their seawall. Now up until about a year ago, after church was out on Sundays, they would open this overflow lot up and let all the neighborhood dogs come out here and run around in their backyard. And the coolest thing about that is even though it's an Episcopal church, they let dogs of all religious faiths go out there and check it out on the right side. Finishing up this next construction project there on the right side. I don't know who owns it now, but the house that used to sit there belonged to a family by the name of Tandy. They founded Radio Shack. Radio Shack house there on the right. Radio Shack is no more, and neither is the house for that matter. But coming up here on our left, I usually start this one just a little bit early to make sure that everybody on the boat has a chance to see what I'm talking about here. You're going to see a wood dock coming up on the left side, just a couple of homes ahead of us now. When we get up there and you guys see that wood dock, look just inland from the dock, you're going to see a wood playset with a green slide just coming up probably the next house right about now. And when we get up past this playset here on the left side, you're going to look right to the middle of the property. Right to the midpoint of the property, you're going to see a couple of trees. Now these people didn't want to tear these trees down. So instead of tearing them down, they built their house all around the two trees. You're going to see it coming up here. Look right past the playset there. See the two trees they didn't want to cut down. They didn't want to tear those down because that's a special type of tree called a dogwood tree. You can always tell you're looking at a dogwood tree by looking at the bark. All right, swing and a miss. Okay. Sounds like I should have left that joke back at the dock. Got a couple buildings coming up here on our right side. They're condominiums now. Weren't always condos though. At one point they were dorm rooms for the Robert Powers School of Modeling, one of the more well-known modeling schools in the early part of the 1900s. They were converted to condos there at some point. Matter of fact, you can get a condo over there for $35,000. $35,000 for a condo right over here on the right side. Back in 1973. Probably about 10 times that by now, I would imagine. Coming up here on our left side, going to have this this park here. A lot of people that live in this neighborhood on the left side, Rio Vista, will bring their dogs down here to the park and let them run around here this time of day. It's the smallest park anywhere in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Now, right on the other side of the park, they're going to have a white kind of Spanish-looking style home there on the left side. Now that used to belong to Bugsy Siegel, a famous gangster, founder of Las Vegas, Al Capone's right-hand man, right over there on the left side. Right next door to Bugsy's old place, we're going to have another home with a blue infinity swimming pool there, a couple of boats tied up out back. That belongs to our former mayor, Jim Noggle. Now he's one of the more popular mayors we've had here in the city, also is the longest standing mayor of any Fort Lauderdale mayor. He served as mayor for 6 terms. 6 terms mayor over there. This place coming up here on the right side. Got a yacht tied up there that we usually don't necessarily get to see all the time, but when we do, we're always happy we get to point it out to you guys. It's going to be coming up here on the right side.
Oh my goodness.